Stuart Brisgel and David Solomon. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon Eastern. You think about it, we rant about it. Listen to us live on Facebook.
If it looks like I'm sitting back and relaxing, it's because I am. Happy Friday. And it's a long weekend here in the US, so I hope you and your family get some safety. My partner David, who's wearing this fancy keyboard shirt, he calls it a space bar. Yep, yep,
Right
yep.
there. It's the space bar.
But that's not around what we're really talking about. We're not talking about space bars, but we're actually talking about space cadets. And
Yeah.
and we're talking about people that use words like stakeholders, manifestos, you know, people. We have the right idea. These are people that aren't elected. Just make an organization. And funny enough, it was conceptualized in 1970, first conference in 1971, and the good professor, pushes his book, even to this day, at every single opportunity he's on a camera. But that's not what our rant's really about, right? David is going to run point on this, and I'm going to jump all over this manifesto mumbo jumbo in just a second.
All
David,
right.
take it away.
All right, so let's start from the. I'm going to start a little bit here for just a second here, and the reason for this rant is I want to shout out to my good friend Lisa Albert for bringing this up. Obviously, it's fantastic. Pierre Poilievre is trying to run for the leadership of the Conservative Party here in Canada, and one of the comments that he made is that anybody who wants to attend the World Economic Forum should not be in his cabinet, and that has people freaking out because there are so many people believe that there's controversy and conspiracy theories about the World Economic Forum. And if you dig deep into this whole thing, and I've been following the World Economic Forum for years, Stuart, I used to go to Europe in January. That's when it used to be. I used to be on trade shows, and US never bothered to show, and Canada never really bothered to show the World Economic Forum. And when I was in Europe at the time and on business, I would catch the stories that went on in Davos, and they were world leaders who got together to talk about real world problems, economic problems. And you didn't have crazies coming in there giving talks and speeches about stupidity shit. Well, here we are in 2022. It's the first time since 2019 that there's been since 2020, pardon me, since there's been the conference because of COVID. And so they finally went live again. And it's a fascinating thing to watch as you see that people, millionaires, financiers are coming in there and the mood is terrible. This is what the mood is terrible. Why is the mood terrible? Shit, we have inflation. There's a war. Oh, yeah, and it's a post-COVID world. And everybody's kind of like, bleh, 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 bleh. But there's no leadership. There's nobody standing there guiding, leading. You've got guys like Klaus Schwab, who founded this World Economic Forum, spewing ideas. You have others. You have the Bill Gates of this world, the John Kerrys, which I'll leave you, Stuart, to talk about John Kerry in a minute. But you've got people coming in, talking and giving their opinions on how the world should run. But let me just give you a little bit of a background, okay? I want to just talk to you about like what kind of people are there, right? They're not you and me. They're people who can spend $50 on a freaking burrito, okay? $50 on a burrito. This is the kind of people who are there. These are not people who live in your world or my world. I'm sorry. The majority of those people who are coming and talking are absolutely wacky doodle. And I'll give you one example, Stuart, of the wacky doodle, and that is Abigail Disney. So Abigail Disney is leading this group of people who've called themselves. They gave themselves a name, and they're saying that they're not being taxed enough, and that the super rich should be taxed more. Now, when you think about the theory behind that, yeah, right, let's tax them more. Why is Abigail Disney and Mark Ruffalo, who I think is a piece of garbage, and a whole bunch of these piece of garbages are all standing there going, you should tax me more. Why? Because they want more money to go to government. More money to government means more control by government. They love this. So what they're saying is the Abigail Disneys of this world is saying we have a famine problem, a poverty problem, we have all these education problems. And you know something? If we give more money to government, they can handle it better. Really? How have they done till now? You're going to give more money to the Democratic Party to run the government, to put more money into Nancy Pelosi's pockets. You're going to
Black Lives Matter.
You're going to put more, exactly, you're going to put more money where it shouldn't go. And you're not going to solve the problem because they haven't solved the problem till now. And don't tell me it's a money thing. It's not a money thing. It's an incompetence thing. And Stuart, when you've got people like this standing in Davos, giving those kind of comments to people who are very influenced, this is terrible. There is no leadership in a world that is craving leaders. Stuart, what say you? Because I got more, but what say you? I'm going to give
you. Okay. First of all, there are certain key words that are, you should pick up on. When you listen to Klaus Schwab, a professor, who, as I said, touts his book at every chance he gets, uses the word stakeholder. And that we're a ship, and we're all stewards of this ship, and we need a manifesto. Okay. First of all, when we think of manifesto, I think of the Unabomber. He had a manifesto. I think of Adolf Hitler. He had a manifesto. Whoa, David.
You had the Communist Manifesto. Come on.
You have Karl Marx's, which is the manifesto. You have Genghis Khan. You have the Chinese government. Rules for thee, but not for me. Right. Disney, she talks big legacy of her dad. She's a borderline communist. And you know what? I don't see her giving any free rides to anybody out of her pocketbook in the wonderful world of Disney. Right?
No, she doesn't. Yeah, she just has shares. She has no apparently no operational involvement.
Next. But when they start talking participants as members, and where companies should, the founders, the people that stand up the company should look at the participant as members of the company, and they are stakeholders as well. Benchmarking communistic values. John Kerry, the biggest hypocrite with a mouth in politics alive today, next to Joe Biden.
Why do you call John Kerry?
Well, because when you want to talk about climate change, and you fly to Davos and you sit down and talk to China, and you got the three largest
Iran.
criminals in the same room.
You forgot about John Kerry sleeping with Iran.
Well, we're not on that part yet, but listen, the World Economic Forum, about taxing the rich more, global. I mean, there's another organization that you might be, recalling. It's called United Nations, where everyone has an option to speak, whether it makes sense or not sense, or it's just nonsense. But again, the DNA of this Davos conference is really communism. Really, it is. I mean, they talk about how they want to save the world. Well, the guys like John Kerry profit at the world. Guys like Bill Gates, they profit off the world. The percentage and shares in their portfolio of pharmaceutical companies, it's disgusting. Okay? These are the largest hypocrites in the world that like to pat themselves on the back that they did something right. Hashtag John Kerry equals hypocrisy. Good one.
Stuart, like that. What? The funny thing about John Kerry is that this is the same guy who talks about climate change and then flies all over the world in his private plane and tells everybody how to act, but he acts differently, like you said, not for me, but for thee, and all that kind of stuff. The frightening thing about this whole event is that years and years ago, there was some sensibility. There was some sensibility about this forum. You brought great minds to talk about economic problems. Do you know what predominated? There were two subjects that dominated this event for the most part. One was climate change, everybody, and the protest, and the second one was the war, which leads to inflation, which leads to this, which leads to. So the problem is this. Okay, you don't have the big players at the table. There's no China, there's no Russia. Well, if those two guys aren't there, then there's a problem because Russia has an economic control and China has an even bigger economic control. And if they're not at the table, I'm not sure what you're going to get accomplished over here.
But these
Problem?
people that are trying to make decisions for the world
Oh, that's
aren't
it. That's the
elected.
problem.
They're not
So,
elected.
so the
They
problem
have
is,
an opinion,
well,
and
hold
they've
on.
decided to pay their way to have a platform,
But
which I
Stuart,
think is disgusting.
but there are elected officials who've been there. There are who are there, by the way. There are a few. They're not getting any of the
Listen,
They're not. Hold on, Stuart, hold on. They're
they're
not getting the press.
propagandists.
Stuart, they're not getting the press. But what's frustrating is, and this is where I give my hat to Pierre Poliev, whom I've met, had a decent conversation with not long ago, and the man has got it right. The World Economic Forum is becoming a cesspool. It's ideas that just don't make sense for the average person today. And to sit there and to think that if you're going to let rich people who are powerful, and you're going to say, we're going to give you the controls to manage our lives, it ain't going to work. Okay? Because rich people want to get richer. Don't tell, with all due respect to Bill Gates, who says, I want to put, I want to put, I want to be good and I want to, he's increased his net value to what again? Can we look at all the people who are there? John Kerry. If you're telling me that John Kerry is doing this out of the goodness of his heart, what's his net value worth? Like, this is the problem. Klaus Schwab, like you said, who stands there and talks to everybody how wonderful and what we should be doing in this world and how we should
Buy my book. Buy my book.
my book. Buy my book. So there is, and Abigail Disney has only wanted to be in the limelight. I don't know what she wants to gain out of this, but she is in the limelight. And Mark Ruffalo, and I will say that name again, who is a piece of garbage and who talks from both ends of his mouth. These are the people that you want leading. That's frightening. We have a void.
David, tell me how you really feel about that guy.
He's a piece of garbage. So my point I'm trying to get at is all this is that when you look at where we are today in the world, and the world has been crapping on, the Donald Trumps and, and the and a few other right-wing leaders. And the reason they're mad at them is because they're not nice. Leading in today's world is not about being nice. It's about getting the shit done. It's about getting the world in order. We have inflation. If you're in Canada, your inflation is about 7%. In the United States, about 8%. In Europe, it's about 10%. This isn't realistic. You can't continue on this pattern. We have gas prices at all-time highs. We can't continue this way. And all we have is talk. And when I hear comments like, oh, alternative energies, we should just switch to alternative energies. You can't do it today. You cannot do it today. Okay? And pipelines may not be the long-term solution, but it is the short-term solution. Every time you bring it up, these morons at the World Economic Forum going, oh, no, we can't do that. The environmentalists will freak out. We'll lose votes. And these are our leaders? These are people who are looking to help you, Stuart. They're looking to put more money in the pocket. Abigail Disney, the only thing she said right was the rich got richer during COVID. The poor got poorer on COVID. But the middle class grew. Okay. But in the meantime, middle class can't afford to live today. And the solutions being put forward today in Davos are not addressing what we need today. And that's a frightening thing. That's frightening. There's no leadership whatsoever. Okay?
David,
all they want is
you sound
power.
Frustrated.
No, it's not about frustration. It's
frustrated.
The amazing thing, Stuart, about these people. Again, Bill Gates got to talk. John Kerry got to talk. Klaus, like all these people who get to talk are influencing people. And they're not living in the real world. John Kerry has a freaking agenda. Okay? He has an agenda. He has no care. He has thrown the world under the bus with Iran. Okay? I'll repeat it. He has thrown the world under a bus with Iran. He lied to Americans, the world, about Iran, its potential. He's in bed with them for crying out loud. And they still give him a platform to speak as if he's God? Scary as hell.
David, once again, I think we're like-minded. And we
can't be like-minded.
Like all things, I printed their brochure. I mean, really, I hope John Kerry's turning over because I wasted paper
Well,
printing up their
Stuart,
platform. I read it.
Stuart. This was an article that was posted on the AP about going to Davos via train, not by plane, and it's about carbon cutting and whatever. And it's fascinating to see that the world focus on climate change. It's important. I'm not disputing it, but the entirety of the media's attention was on Ukraine and climate change. I don't know, Stuart. We're in a big mess. And on that note, I think we're done for the week. Ladies and gentlemen, if you loved us, share us, comment, bring it out. Yes, I deleted a comment that was on our post that unfortunately was a spam, and I will remove the spam. But reality is, we love when you talk. We love when you contribute. And regardless of where you come out to us, from Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, our other podcasts, listen to Howie Silberger show. We're going well. Stuart, you have any parting words for our friends?
The parting words are goodbye.